Everybody remembers the big PS2 games, GTA San Andreas, God of War, Resident Evil 4, but hidden behind those legends were some absolutely insane games almost nobody talks about anymore. Games with graphics that looked impossible for the PS2, games that felt years ahead of their time, and some that were so weird, brutal, or ambitious. They still feel unique even today, and trust me, by the end of this video, you're probably gonna discover at least one PS2 game you never even heard of before. So today we are counting down 9 underrated PS2 games that deserved way more attention than they ever got.
I've got diagnostic access. I can't see why it's not working. There's just no power to it.
Number 9. Cold Winter. Most people probably never even heard of Cold Winter. But this game was honestly one of the most underrated FPS games on the PS2. You play as a sniper who gets captured during a mission, and after escaping prison, the game basically turns into the gritty action thriller, full of gunfights, secret facilities, and military conspiracies. But the real reason this game stands out is the gameplay. For a PS2 shooter, this thing had surprisingly advanced mechanics. You could dual wield weapons, use environmental explosions, enemies reacted realistically when getting shot, and the guns actually felt powerful. And honestly, the atmosphere is what makes this game memorable. Everything feels cold, tense, dirty, almost like an early Xbox 360 shooter trapped inside a PS2 game. It's one of those games where you instantly wonder, how did this not become bigger? Number 8. Obscure. Now this game feels like a forgotten horror movie from the early 2000s. Obscure takes place inside a creepy high school where students start disappearing and things slowly turn into a complete nightmare. What makes this game special is the co-op system. You can switch between multiple characters and each one has their own abilities. Some characters are better with guns, some can pick locks,
it works.
some are smarter with puzzles.
Damn, there are fuses missing.
And unlike most horror games at the time, this one actually encouraged teamwork. But the best part, the atmosphere. Flashlights barely light up the darkness. Monsters suddenly appear out of nowhere. And the whole game has this unforgettable early 2000 horror vibe. It almost feels like Silent Hill mixed with a teen horror movie. And somehow barely anyone talks about it today.
Oh, you think you funny, huh? You laugh on this now.
Number 7. Urban Reign. If you love brutal beat-em-up games, Urban Reign is absolute chaos. This game was made by the same people behind Tekken, and honestly you can feel it. The combat is insanely satisfying. Punches feel heavy, throws look brutal, and fights quickly turn into complete madness. You're constantly fighting huge group of enemies, using pipes, bats, chairs, basically anything you can grab. And what makes the game so fun is how aggressive it feels. There's barely any downtime. Every level throws you into another insane street fight. And somehow, despite having amazing combat, this game got completely overshadowed back then. But today, a lot of people consider it one of the best hidden beat-em-up games on the PS2.
Hey, over here.
John Vadek.
Dr.
What happened? I need to remember.
Number 6. Second Sight. Second Sight is one of those games that starts normal and slowly becomes completely insane. You wake up inside a mysterious lab with no memory.
Why can't I remember anything?
And suddenly realize you have psychic powers.
How could he not have seen me? Did I do that?
And from there, things just keep getting weirder. You can move objects with your mind, attack enemies using telekinesis, distract guards, and even manipulate people from a distance. The coolest part is how the game mixes stealth with psychic abilities. Sometimes you sneak past enemies quietly. Other times, you literally throw objects across the room using your mind. And the story, honestly surprisingly good. The game constantly makes you question what's real, and the ending twist is actually really memorable. This felt like a modern sci-fi thriller years before games like Control became popular.
Bite some jerky and collect your gear. Time to earn our pay. Come on.
Number 5. Gun. Before Red Dead Redemption existed, there was Gun. And honestly, this game was way ahead of its time. Gun is basically an open world western action game filled with shootouts, horse riding, bounty hunting, and revenge. And for a PS2 game, the world felt surprisingly alive. You could explore towns, hunt animals, take side missions, rob enemies, and get into massive gunfights. But the reason people still remember this game is the vibe. Everything feels dirty, violent, and cinematic. The slow motion quick draw moments were especially awesome. And back then, a western game like this felt incredibly unique. Looking back now, it's honestly feel like an early version of Red Dead Redemption, which is probably why so many people still love it.
I like your style.
Sweet mercy! What have you done?
Number 4. Darkwatch. Okay, this game has one of the craziest concepts ever. Imagine being a vampire cowboy.
What is it?
Fighting monster using guns on a moving train. That's literally Darkwatch. You play as a gunslinger who accidentally gets infected by a vampire curse and slowly gains supernatural powers. And somehow this game actually makes this ridiculous concept work. The weapons feel amazing, the atmosphere is dark and gothic, and the levels constantly throw giant monsters, vampires, and insane action sequences at you. You can even unlock special vampire abilities while fighting enemies. And visually, this game looked amazing on the PS2. Seriously, some moments generally feel like an early modern game. Darkwatch is one of those games where the second you see gameplay, you instantly wonder why nobody talks about it anymore. Number 3. Shadow of Rome. Shadow of Rome was absolutely brutal. This game drops you into massive gladiator arenas where every fight feels violent, chaotic, and over the top. You play as Agrippa, a warrior trying to uncover the truth behind Julius Caesar's assassination. But let's be honest, nobody remembered this game for the story. People remembered it for the combat. You could stab enemies, smash them with giant weapons, throw spears, cut people down in arenas, and the crowd would literally react to everything you did. The more stylish and brutal you fought, the more the audience loved you. And for a PS2 game, the scale felt massive. Huge arenas, crowds screaming, blood everywhere. It honestly feels like a mix between God of War and Gladiator. And despite all of that, this game somehow stayed underrated.
You trust me, don't you?
What was that?
It's for your own good.
Number 2. Psi-Ops, The Mindgate Conspiracy. This game was insanely ahead of its time. Psi-Ops lets you play as a secret agent with psychic abilities, and the gameplay still feels unique even today. You can lift enemies into the air, throw explosive barrels using telekinesis, mind control people, set enemies on fire, and combine all of that with guns. But the craziest thing, the physics system. Back in 2004, very few games let you interact with the environment like this. Every fight felt dynamic. You weren't just shooting enemies, you were literally playing with them using psychic powers. And once you fully upgraded your abilities, you basically felt unstoppable. This is honestly one of those games where you look at the release date and think, there's no way this was on the PS2. If this game released today with modern graphics, people would probably go crazy. Number 1. Black. Black was pure destruction. Even today, this game still looks and sounds insane. The story itself is pretty simple. You play as a Black Ops soldier, fighting through dangerous military operations. Nobody played Black for the story. People played because it made you feel like an absolute machine. Every gun sounded powerful. Every explosion shook the screen, and entire environments got destroyed during fights. Wall exploded, glass shattered, cars blew apart, and for a PS2 game, the graphics were unbelievable. The lightning, the smoke effects, the weapon sounds. Everything felt years ahead of its time. This genuinely felt like a next generation shooter trapped on old hardware. And honestly, Black is probably one of the best examples of developers completely pushing the PS2 to its limit. The PS2 had way more hidden gems than people realize, and honestly some of these games still feel more creative than modern AAA titles. But now I wanna know from you guys, which game from this list was your favorite? And how many of these games did you actually know about before this video? You played any of them back in the PS2 days? Tell me your memories in the comments. And if you want to add more games in this list in a part 2, let me know. Because trust me, there are still a lot more forgotten PS2 games worth talking about. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe and share with your friends. And I'm going to meet you in the next video. Till then, bye bye, take care, thanks for watching.